What is up, guys? Hope you are having a great day. What's up, Cindy?
Hey, it's hot, right? I've got
It's not that
ice
hot
in my
today. It's only
cup,
90.
man.
It's only 90. Cindy and I are both in would you say South Texas?
I would say I'm in the hotter part of Texas. That's what I'm
What is
going to
it by
say.
you? It's nine. I'm in South Austin, actually sitting across the street. Cindy, you remember this old Central Market that's over
Oh, yeah,
here by the office? I got the Regal Cinemas right across the street from the office.
you're doing good, man.
So I'm hanging out here in South Austin, right off South Lamar and Westgate. If you guys are
And,
from the Austin area, or if you've been around,
and I'm 50
Cindy
miles.
is.
I'm 50 miles southwest of you, right? On the front porch of the Texas Hill Country.
So you said it's hotter there.
Yeah, well, it may not be hotter. It may all be in my head, right? But it's hot. We've
Yeah,
transitioned out of that nice summer, spring rain kind of part.
yeah,
Although we
yeah.
did have rain this morning, so it's like
It didn't
somebody.
rain here, by the way. It did not rain here. I saw it. I actually saw it on the radar, and I was walking my dogs this morning. I'm like, and then I went. Just must have missed me and hit you. I saw
Yeah,
it. So
listen, I'm telling you, here in Texas, anytime it rains, we figure somebody killed a cow or a goat. There was some kind of sacrifice involved.
some kind of sacrifice. Okay, I
Yeah,
was
there
wondering
you
where you were
go.
going with that. Now I got it. Now I got it. Okay, so we have a great webcast for you guys today. Really excited about that. Cindy and I have not been together in 3 months.
Months.
I think it was March. It was the last time we were on together.
Yeah, it's been a while.
So we had a couple really good deals. We had our live Indianapolis event, which was huge and awesome. Very excited about that. We also are getting ready. Like we're about 60 days out, give or take. Actually, I think we're 63 days out right now from our August event. I can't believe that we're that far along in 2024 already. But August 13th, 14th, 15th is our Indianapolis event. I'll talk about that in a few minutes here. But Cindy and I are going to talk today about how to use cybersecurity risk assessments and overall the whole concept of cybersecurity sales in today's MSP to double your MRR in 6 to 12 months or less. Cindy, anything you want to say before we get rolling today?
I say let's roll, baby.
All right, I'm down to go as well. Let me get my slide deck added to the screen today. Cindy, can you see my screen? Can all you guys out there see my screen? Can we see my screen? Just want to make sure we're good on that. We are broadcasting live, not only here on StreamYard. Everybody that's on the webinar with me, you guys are here in StreamYard. We also are going to multiple Facebook groups, YouTube, LinkedIn, all kinds of different stuff. So we got all kinds of things going on. Okay, Christian just said, let's just throw Christian. You won the prize on that one, so you get your name on the screen today. Somebody just sent me a message asking me what are these posters behind me. I do one of my side businesses is I'm an investor / owner in a movie production studio, and we produce documentaries. So these two you see here, we actually got The Truth About Reading, which is, Cindy, I know you watched that, I believe, right? That is live on Amazon Prime right now. It's called The Truth About Reading. It's a really, really good documentary. I'm an executive producer on that. And then we had the Dickie V documentary that was on ESPN Films, also on Disney Plus right now, on Hulu. That is the Dickie V documentary, also an executive producer on that. So pretty good stuff, just like side stuff. And it's just, those are my movie posters that have my name on them and stuff. So we had them framed here for the office. So those are going to go up on the walls. That's why they're sitting over there.
Nice.
So, okay, let's get rolling. My official name is executive producer.
Oh, well, hey, far be it from me to leave out the good adjectives.
You know what executive producer means in movie language, by the way? I figured this out. Wallet. That's all it
Brings
means.
the money.
Yeah, exactly. All it means is wallet. That's it. So it really doesn't mean much. So, okay, guys, we're going to get rolling. So I got a couple things for you. Pay attention, et cetera, and we'll get rolling here as we go. If you have any questions, please ask in the chat. Cindy's going to be monitoring the chat until she gets rolling. So you got about 15, 20 minutes of Chris. Then you got about 45 minutes of Cindy. Then I'm going to come back and finish some stuff. And then we got some Q&A and we got prizes and a bunch of stuff today as well. So, all right, here we go. So my promise to you so far today, just so you guys know, we are going to show you exactly how to use what we in seven-figure land call cybersecurity risk assessments or CSRAs. So anytime you hear Chris, Cindy, Ryan O'Hara, Paul Conley, any of the rest of our team, Lindsay Badillo, Paige Taylor, any of us talk about CSRAs, that means cybersecurity risk assessment. We're going to show you where that gets positioned in the sales process. We're also going to show you how to use that to add thousands of dollars of monthly recurring revenue to your existing clients and your brand new prospects as well. So we're going to show you every step of the way how to add this to your stack, how you sell, all these different things. And even if you're a brand new MSP, this is the method you should be following. So if you're thinking of starting an MSP, if you're a telecom, if you're a software vendor, if you're doing any of this other stuff and you're thinking about being an MSP and this is your intro into the MSP world, this is the mindset you should be following from here forward. And Cindy, I know you were on my onboarding call today. So you got a really good dose of mid-June 2024 Chris Weiser and how much, you think about this. Cindy and I have been working together for like 4 years. Think about how much that message has changed, right, Cindy? It's like
absolutely
crazy how different it is now compared to what it used to be, but it's all cybersecurity focused. And I want you guys to be aware of that. A couple other quick things for you guys. You're going to learn the exact sales process that we teach our 7-figure MSP elite and 0 to 10K members. So we're going to show you exactly how to do all that stuff and how we integrate that in. Now, the challenge between that and having coaches like me, Cindy, and the rest of our team is you have to self-manage. And that's probably one of the biggest battles. I kind of compare that very similarly. Cindy, I've been on a little bit of a fitness journey the last 6 to 12 to 24 months here. I'm down 30 pounds, down 18% body fat. I'm at like 12% now, which is pretty cool. I would not personally be able to do that, even though I know how to work out, even though I know how to eat right. I know how to do all this. I know how to do all the stuff I need to do. It's taken me basically a year of having a personal trainer and that accountability to get me to a point where I feel like now I'm finally somewhat self-sufficient and I eat well on my own and I do all these other things, but it's taken me a year of having a coach to do that. So that crossover is really, really important. So we're going to teach you guys how to use all of these tactics that we're going to talk about today. You're going to get mindset from Chris and the how. So you're going to get the why from me and the how from Cindy on how to take these processes and turn them into 7 and 8 figure deals, 7 and 8 figure years, 7 and 8 figure months, however that applies to you. Keep in mind, I know we're called 7-figure MSP, but that effectively just means 7-figure habits. And that's a really important mindset. This doesn't, if you're already $1 million MSP, great, awesome. Are you doing 7-figure quarters, 7-figure months, 7-figure deals? That stuff is here and it really, really makes a difference. And if you want to go from 1 million to 5 million, major difference. If you want to go from 5 million to 10 million, major difference. And then up and up and up and up from there, right? Cindy, anything you want to add to any of that?
I just have one question, Chris. Do you think it's easier to go from 0 to 1 million? Or do you think it's easier to go from 1 million to 5 million? When you talk about those 7 figures,
it's much easier to go from this was my journey. It's much easier to go from 0 to 1 million than it is to go from 1 to 5. That's my personal, because and they each have different challenges. Don't get me wrong. But the double from 0 to 100K in recurring revenue, it's pretty easy to do that at chunks. But to go to that next level and have service delivery is much, much harder in my opinion.
Well, hey, I just threw that question into the chat so everybody can kind of pile in. I want to know what everybody that's with us thinks about that question, because Chris, that's something we'll be talking about today, because this program, it's not just for 0 to 1 million, right? Yep.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So a couple things for you guys. If you stay with us till the end, first of all, we're going to be giving away multiple prizes. We got one winner is going to get a $250. This has actually moved a little bit away from the Amazon gift card, even though you can redeem it for Amazon. We now use a site called tremendous.com. So you can you get a $250 coupon for tremendous.com and you can pick whatever gift card you want, all the way down to a Visa debit card. It can be an Amazon gift card, could be a Starbucks card, could be whatever you want. So that's kind of cool. And then our second winner is going to get a $100 Amazon or tremendous.com. I got to fix that. $100 tremendous.com gift card as well. So that's kind of cool stuff that we're going to be giving away. And then everybody that's with us today is going to have a chance to win their own $50 gift card on top of that also. A couple quick things just for me. I know we got a lot of people watching live with us. I know we got a lot of stuff going on. We got a lot of distractions. We got these guys in our face all the time, all this stuff that's happening. Please just give us an hour of your time. This is worth it. That means no tickets, no cell phones, no client calls, no distractions. If you're serious about changing your life, serious about changing your business, this is the kind of stuff that you got to be focusing on. And this is the kind of stuff you got to listen to. And, you know, Cindy, I was talking about this on the onboarding call this morning. We had guys on the onboarding call this morning, like sitting there listening to the call. Like, that doesn't count. Pay attention. Like, we all know when we're distracted, all the stuff that happens, pay attention and make it worth your time. Otherwise, you know, it's kind of not worth being here. So do that, commit to it, and let's go, right? Got one last thing for you guys. I got a special bonus for you that are joining us. If this is your first time, we have a brand new CSRA guide, our cybersecurity risk assessment guide. We rebuilt this whole thing for 2024. I'm going to have a full CSRA roadmap and this document for you in full PDF form. There's no opt-in or anything on this. You just got to come some way through, about 3/4 of the way through the call here today. And then I'm going to give out this QR code and you can download that. That's your special gift just for showing up and giving me your attention. And then we got obviously the rest of the gifts that we have on top of that as well. So, okay. So if you do not know me, my name is Chris Weiser. I don't know why that says XS there, but I think that must've been an accidental typo from Ronaldo. But my name is Chris Weiser. If you guys do not know me, I was an MSP owner for 10 plus years. I was in the Milwaukee, Wisconsin market. I live in Austin, Texas now, just wanted to get out of winter. But I built an MSP from a 0-person computer store. So I started with basically 1-person computer store, transitioned that over into a B2B IT firm, started again back at 1 or 0 if you count yourself as a 0. And then built that up to 20, almost, I think I had 29 people when I sold the company, multi-million-dollar firm with tons of, 6 figures of MRR and a lot of different stuff that was going on, all before cybersecurity time. I sold that company back in 2015, and have since built a firm. You can actually see, it's kind of funny. That's Fat Chris on stage. Look at that, Cindy. Look how chubby my cheeks are. I look like a chipmunk.
I'm telling you, Chris, I'm not going to recognize you the next time I see you, buddy.
I know. I was probably 210, 215 in that. I'm 170 now. So it's kind of it's crazy to see how fat my face was. It's crazy. But built that from sold the MSP, built since then using all the same concepts, plus a lot of accelerants with superstars like Cindy Phillips and Lindsay Badillo and Ryan O'Hara on our team to build a firm called 7-Figure MSP. And the whole concept around all of the stuff that we do is teaching you how to create 7-figure companies, 7-figure mindset, 7-figure deals, 7-figure months, et cetera, et cetera. So those 7-figure habits are what we're talking about here. And it's a really, really important thing to have in your arsenal as you grow businesses. So again, please pay attention. Speaking of seeing me on stage, you heard me talk about Indianapolis a little bit ago. We have our next event coming up here in Denver. This is our Q3 Double Your MRR live training. This is a full 3-day event. This is an awesome, awesome event. We got some really cool stuff coming. We have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Tuesday, you're going to have our whole team training. So you got me, Cindy, Lindsay, Michelle, Ryan, all of our team training on that first Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, our guest speaker, our keynote speaker is Mr. Penn Gillette from the comedy pair Penn and Teller. So he's going to talk about his business, his residency in Las Vegas, all the stuff he's doing, and how he's built a multi-million-dollar entrepreneurial empire, which is pretty cool because you got to think of him as like this comedy guy, but you don't think of him as this entrepreneur. Well, he's a super down-to-earth, level-headed guy. Had a call with him. He's super cool. Got his cell phone number. Like, it's kind of neat stuff in my life because that's stuff I get to do. And then on Wednesday, we have another guy that's going to be talking all about scale and growth and AI and all kinds of different things that are coming to you as a business owner. So we got so many good things coming. Here is our dates. So we got August 13th, 14th, 15th on that. And then here's your QR code. You can also go to 7figuremspevents.com/Denver, or you can just zap that QR code and that's going to bring that up. We'd love to have you guys there. It is full 3 days. Once you get on site, we're at the Brown Palace in North Denver. Oh, also one thing I forgot to mention, Cindy, I know you're going to be there live, but our Wednesday night keynote awesome event is we are doing a concert at Red Rocks Amphitheater. And the bands that night are going to be Spoon and the Revivalists, along with our own private area and all this other stuff with meals catered and vendors and all kinds of other stuff. So it's almost gonna be like a little concert/fair that we're going to have. So that's kind of fun stuff. All right. Sorry about my voice today. It's a little bit wonky. Do allergies beat you up like they do me here in Texas? Because I've never had that problem in like the last 2 years. I don't know if it's because I'm 47 now or what the hell the problem
You get a
is.
5 to 7 year pass when you move here.
Oh, is that what it is, man?
Yeah, after you've been here 5 years, it kicks in.
Yep, I'm on 8. So I guess I got some borrowed time on that. So okay. I had that there. So next thing here. So I'm gonna kind of walk through a little bit of this mindset stuff here. And then I'm going to hand it over to Cindy here in about 10, 15 minutes, and we can talk about that. So I want you guys just let's chill out. Let's put our distractions away. And I want you to give me some attention and listen. And if you have a question, throw it in the chat and I will answer that for you, or Cindy can answer it for you as we go. I'm kind of watching that plus Cindy's screen here. So again, I'm here. I was an MSP owner, and I want to give you a little background on me just so you guys know this really quick. While I was technical, I never had a single certificate. I also never had a single day of college. So I have no formal training whatsoever in being an MSP. Kind of the challenge, most MSPs also aren't that way, for the record. They have some certificates, yes. They maybe have some sales acumen. They maybe have some marketing acumen, maybe a little bit of business acumen. But for the most part, we're business because we like tech, right? That's kind of the big factor. I'm here to show you one of the reasons I've been successful is that I never had those certs. I never had that stuff, but I focused my time in the right areas and then executed the right tasks to succeed. One of my big things is I talk about it's better to be done than perfect. I talk about this all the time. In fact, Cindy, my training for this week, Wednesday's call is how to avoid procrastination. So I'm going to do that training on this week, Wednesday's call for our elite members. But I want to ask you guys that are with me, thinking about yourself as an IT company owner, especially, if you're a guest here, whatever, that's fine. Meaning if you're not an owner, feel free to chime in on that. But I want to ask you guys if this sounds like you. And this is a really big, important part in today's MSP space. So does this sound like you? You need to know, that without question, you need to move from a traditional MSP. Think about the traditional MSP selling break fix or tech support, or maybe installing new things. That's what your client thinks of you, especially, right? But we know that our responsibilities as an MSP are shifting. So we have to modify, we have to move over into this cybersecurity focused firm. But we're like, okay, I have no idea how to do this. Does that sound like you? If that does, drop that into the chat for me. Does this sound like you? I am a traditional MSP, and I know that I have to focus on being more of a cybersecurity focused firm. Does that sound like you? So that's thing one. Thing two on this, and this is a really big one. We have clients on legacy agreements or contracts, or maybe even worse, handshake deals that are out there in the field. I know a lot of MSPs that are like that. And we have no idea how to get them to sign new ones. Maybe that sounds like you. You can drop that in the chat. Oh, but Chris, why would I need to get my clients to focus on new contracts? Or why would I get my clients to sign new stuff? Because here's the deal, guys, and I want you to be very, very conscious of this. Insurance companies are coming to MSPs on cybersecurity insurance liability and E&O sign up. Or maybe you already have cybersecurity insurance or E&O insurance and you want to do a renewal. They're now starting to say, we have to mandate, we are going to mandate that we need to see all of your agreements from all of your clients. And you need to remove your personal and business liability. I want you to think how big of a deal this is, because think about all the agreements that you have out there with your existing clients, or maybe no agreements with your existing clients. What does it say about when there's a breach, a hack, a ransom? More than likely, and Cindy, I don't know what your take is on this because we haven't talked about this in about 3 months now, but for the most part, I'm going to say the general public MSP, Joe MSP that's out there, I bet you 95% of existing client contracts do not specify what happens when there's a breach. What's your thoughts?
Clearly. Yeah. I mean, we know that that's true, right? Because when you put your agreements together, most people, if they have an agreement that they think works, they just keep reusing it.
Yep.
They don't do a thing called agreement review once a year. How's the world changed? How have things shifted? What do I need to do to stay up with the times? No, I get an agreement. It's working. How old is your agreement? Right?
Yep,
I
exactly.
know you're right about this.
Absolutely. So think about that. Good luck on getting your clients to sign any of that stuff without any incentive. Because what are they going to want? Why am I signing a new deal? They have to get why, and they have to understand it. So we're going to walk you through a lot of that stuff today. We have the answers to all that stuff. I'm going to show you the keys to this. Cindy's going to show you the keys to this. And we're also going to show you why these things work. We're going to teach you how to pivot your MSP, show you how to use these systems, how to use everything we're facing today. And this is basically the MSP gold rush. I'm going to tell you that right now. The opportunity you have in front of you right now, June 2024, is the biggest opportunity this MSP industry has ever seen. And we are literally on, if you think about like a crater, we're on the precipice of it. We're like on the tip of the crater about to fall in. That's how big of a deal this is. And if you have any doubts about what we're talking about, that's fine. Pay attention. We'll help you execute. We'll help you do all these different things. Cindy is going to have some live questions for you, some live exercises. We're going to have a full Q&A when we're done. We got a bunch of case studies. We're going to show you about how this works. And if you have any concerns about it, just remember this, as with any coaching that you have, it depends on how much you execute. You heard me mention that fitness situation. It's taken me a year and change working with a personal in-person fitness coach, personal trainer, to get myself brain trained to where I'm like now in the gym on my own. Like every day I'm in the gym at 6:30 in the morning. I'm not one of these crazy 5 a.m. guys, but I go to bed at like 11 at night. But now I just kind of do it. I just show up and I just do it. It's just part of my regimen. Whereas before I was like fighting myself to do those things, and use all of this stuff that we're going to talk about today as a launch pad. And if you need help, that's where we come in. Okay. So we're going to try and give you as much really good content as we can today as we go. So let me really quick introduce my co-host, Cindy. We need to get those new headshots of you.
Oh man. Yeah. New hair, new headshot. I mean, yeah.
So throw that in there when you got a minute. Because I know you got that on your side. But here's our VP of Sales Coaching here at Seven Figure MSP. This is Cindy Phillips. I'll let her introduce herself really quick, and then I'll go into my talk.
Hey, everybody. So I started hanging out with Chris Weiser back in January of 2020, and we started cracking the code on how to help MSPs make more money. But before that, I built a $3 million consulting business, and I also managed a $45 million product portfolio. So I think it would be fair to say that I've probably had a gazillion different roles in the tech world and have always been on the service delivery side of the house and making things happen. Sold a tremendous number of deals. And for a while, I specialized in helping people sell things that they wanted to get rid of for more money than they thought they could ever get, which was a super fun thing to do, Chris. And so that's kind of what we do here is we help people embrace the possibility that how they sell and what they sell can be dramatically different. And once you change that, then all the results in your company change. So I love it. I plan to be around for a really long time. It's just an amazing place to hang out. And there's so much good activity going on. We work on deals from one person to 700. So there is no deal that's too big for us to bite off and help you land.
Yep. And we do our onboarding in our coaching program every Monday through Friday. Cindy and I have onboarding calls with our clients. And one of the things that I talk about is you should never work another sales deal alone. We are here to support you every single time. And that's literally what Cindy and I and our team do every single day. So it's pretty exciting. So you heard me mention earlier a little bit about how the entire MSP industry is at a crossroads. And let's talk a little bit about what that means. And there's a couple core pieces of this that I want you to be very conscious of. And I just want you to kind of like take your distractions away right now, put your phone down. I want you to listen to this. And this is, if there's nothing you get from this, like Cindy's got insane amounts of really valuable stuff, but if there's nothing you get from this, I want this to be planted in your head. Namely, that the MSP of June 2024 is nothing like the MSP of even, let's say 2 years ago, or even, maybe probably months ago, but let's go back 1 year, 2 years, maybe even pre-COVID and some of that stuff. And when we talk about the IT as of the past, or the MSP of the past, and side note on this, most of your clients are still existing in this right now. And I want you to be very aware of that. If you have not evolved how you've done business in the last, 6 to 9 to 12 to 24 to 36 months, most of your clients are still existing in this world. They see IT, MSP, IT support services, whatever you call yourself. We handle your IT so you can handle your business, blah, 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 whatever you call yourself in that world. Your client sees you as a commodity. So what does that mean? In their brain, going from now all the way back to the time they started either working with you or working with technology, they see MSP and IT as one thing. Well, maybe a couple things, but for the most part, it's break fix. When something breaks, Joe MSP comes and fix it, or Joanna MSP, Joe or Joanna MSP, they come and fix it. Or when I need new things installed, they come and install it for me. And for that specific service and that widget, they're on a race to zero, effectively. So is the entire MSP market. So when I talk about that race to zero, the only differentiating factors in that whole relationship is, for the most part, price. Because everybody from you to the MSP, and when I was in Milwaukee, I was in a small little suburb of Milwaukee called Waukesha, Wisconsin. I literally had an MSP across the street from me. We never saw each other in the field. We still know each other. I see him every year at IT Nation. We're like, hey, dude, how's it going? How's Wisconsin? Cold. How's the Packers? Go Pack, go, blah, blah, blah. But he is doing the same exact stuff that he was doing when I sold my MSP. And his clients all view him exactly the same. So what's different about now, or what's different with the 2024 or maybe even the cybersecurity market? And what opportunity do you have in front of you? And this is really, really key. We are shifting, and actually the market itself, for the most part, has kind of already shifted, but most service delivery firms haven't caught up, neither have the clients. Like, if you think about it, the hackers have evolved. The hackers have evolved a lot. How do we know that? Well, they're winning. They're having a lot of success. They are getting more and more money every day. This is a multi-trillion-dollar industry now. In fact, I believe, Cindy, this is now the largest industry in the world. Am I correct on that? That hacking and cybersecurity is the largest industry in the world. And it's not the cybersecurity industry that's the biggest in the world, for the record. It is the hacking industry. Like, these guys, Cindy, I don't remember if this was you that said this, but somebody said this on something I was listening to, where we got a guy that gets up every day and goes to work and kisses his wife goodbye, gets out of bed, blah, 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 drives himself to work, and he goes and works in an office. Well, he's going to work in a hacking firm.
That's right.
I think that was you that told that story, wasn't it?
Yeah. So basically that's true. These firms are stood up in different countries, not the US. And when they recruit people, they now have taken what used to be just, like basically, scripting files and stuff. They've wrapped a GUI around it. They've wrapped customer onboarding around it. They've wrapped 24/7 support. They've wrapped a startup list of companies that have paid ransom before. And they've wrapped all the support team around that. And the people that are doing the support don't even know that they're actually supporting a criminal enterprise. They don't know that. It's huge.
Yep. It's a big deal. It's a massive deal. And that's the thing that the client doesn't understand, right? They don't get these things. So if you think about what's been driving this industry change, this industry shift from that IT as a commodity, which is the way that, again, almost all MSPs out in the world are still selling. Your clients are still viewing it the same way. Why do you still think that you're out there battling against price deals and discounts and all these other things you're losing deals to other MSPs that are much cheaper than you, because they are using price as their lowest common denominator, and that's their only differentiator versus what's happening in the rest of the market. Well, let's actually, before I even talk about what's happening in the rest of the market, let's talk about what actually is happening. First of all, cyber attacks. We just talked about cybersecurity industry and specifically the hacking industry with Joe Hacker going to work every single day, et cetera, like Cindy just kind of talked about. Those cyber attacks are driving change. And success in the MSP industry, success as an MSP owner, success as an MSP as a whole, yes, you can make money doing break fix. I'm never going to sit here and say that is, I like to say it's dead a lot, but in reality, it's still a great business model for a lot of people because the clients haven't evolved. And effectively, if you're just focusing on volume, you can still survive, especially if you're a one-person shop or a trunk slammer. You have no expenses, blah, blah, blah. You can still definitely make it work. I know some guys that are doing that, and it's fine. But you need to understand, and we had a guy come in today, Cindy, literally just joined our program last week, Friday. He said, this is perfect time. This is Giuseppe that you're going to meet tomorrow. Yeah. I think you saw Giuseppe in the call this morning. You're going to meet him in your deal tomorrow. Giuseppe came in saying, I just happened to see out. I think you said he was at church, happened to be at church yesterday or saw this guy over the weekend, saw the CEO of one of his largest clients. And he happened to get a letter last week that said, hey, we now have a vendor holding us compliant, and we have to do like vendor questionnaires from all these people, and we have to go up against things. So you need to understand that the role of the MSP is massively changing, and you are now responsible for way more than just being a good tech. And for years and years and years, like literally from maybe now all the way back to when you started your business, your core duty was like, I'm going to be a good help desk company. I'm going to be a good project company. I'm going to be good at solving problems and fixing issues when they come up, blah, blah, blah. That's all we had to worry about. Well, now you have to understand that your role as the decision maker is changing. It is now your responsibility. And this is moving over into, think about the moral obligations, not even moral obligations, but actually fiscal, legal, legislative. We'll add moral in there. All these obligations that certain industries have. Let's just take the doctor, or maybe the lawyer, or the bookkeeper, the accounting firm. All of them have all these duties that they are responsible for that include establishing a pattern of negligence elimination, eliminating malpractice, eliminating negligence from our world. Forever, this industry has relied on, we can prevent things. We have anti-spam and antivirus, and we can prevent hacks, and we can guarantee uptime, and we have 5 nines and all. Like, that's what this industry has literally built its entire house of cards on in reality. And I want you to think about how big of a deal this is, because the entire world is at the mercy of this. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say the MSP industry and the IT industry and the technology industry is pretty damn responsible for this hacking epidemic we have right now, because how many clients have we mandated MFA on, or we won't do your work? I mean, I can name every single person, every single MSP I know that we've allowed, including myself. I've definitely allowed clients out there to exist without MFA. I don't have any clients anymore that are MSP clients, but even, back in the day, I was responsible when we as MSPs actually do better. They should have the best. And it's a really, really important thing to understand. And I want you to think about this. If any of you are sitting here like, oh, Weiser's an idiot, he's crazy, he's just grandstanding, blah, blah, blah. I want you to think about this. Can any IT firm prevent all hacks? The answer, without question, I answered, Cindy, you saw me in onboarding this morning. I said I had everybody in the room raise their hand, raise your hand, everybody raise your hand. Who can prevent all hacks? All the hands went down because we know better. The IT guys know better. So why have we allowed the clients to dictate the path of support? We're concerned about losing clients because we don't know how to sell. We don't have a great stack. And we're literally at the mercy of them because we built our entire business on, effectively, like I said, a house of cards. So I want you to be conscious of that and realize that you are going to have to change. You're going to have to evolve. It's either you control the evolution by acting now or soon, or you become at the mercy of the industry. And I'm going to tell you what, anything in life, if you become at the mercy of the other side, you're not in a great position. Just want you to think about that. Anytime you are at the mercy of an industry, you are not in a great position. I just want you to consciously think about that. Because here's the deal. Your clients will get hacked. You cannot stop it. You can maybe prepare for that day. Absolutely. Best effort. We can absolutely prepare for somebody else to pay the bill. We can pay, we can prepare for all those things to happen, but we can't stop it. That message has to be delivered to your decision makers. That message has to be put out there. Now, how you deliver it is what is the difference between getting run over and making money. That's the big factor. That's what Cindy's going to talk about. That's what we talk about actively in our training. So when your clients get hacked, I want you to understand that they will file an insurance claim. Almost all these clients now, Cindy, it's pretty rare that we are running into end user clients that have no cybersecurity insurance here in the States now. Like it's changing, right?
Right.
And that's a big factor. So I want you guys to understand, I totally get it. In fact, I'm here at corporate 7-figure MSP. I'm here at headquarters. Across the hall from me is a dentist. Across up the stairs from them is another dentist. The building that I'm in, I have a pretty nice, decent sized office here, and it's owned by a group of dentists, and they rent out 2 of the spaces. So they own half. I work in half. I was talking to the owner a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about this. He's like, "Oh, I mean, I've had cybersecurity insurance for a year now, as a dentist." And dentists are like, are they the cheapest guys in the IT world, or maybe it's chiropractors? I don't know, one of the two, right? But even those guys and the owner and his wife, it's a husband and wife couple that own this firm across the hall from me. They have cybersecurity insurance. Cindy, they have a $2 million policy on their firm. And I was very impressed. I was thoroughly impressed. And they said, yeah, our friend owns an IT company and told us to do all this stuff. And I started giving them the whole, are you doing blah, 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 7-figure stuff. And they're like, okay, well, we got to find somebody. In fact, I got a couple of referrals for our Austin guys, because it's probably going to be them. But the bottom line is, it's one thing to try and defend a hack. And I'm going to back up one. It's one thing to defend a hack against a small business. It's a whole nother world when they file a claim and that insurance company investigates and they decide that they're going to figure out who the lowest hanging fruit is. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if you didn't do a cybersecurity risk assessment, if you didn't have a conversation with them about cybersecurity, about hacking, about MFA, about all these things, who do you think they're going to point the finger at? Because they are looking to hand down liability to someone. And I want you to be very, 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 very conscious of that. And I definitely have guys in the MSP industry that are like, nope, you're an idiot. This is the dumbest conversation I've ever heard. Stop sticking your head in the sand. Cindy and I started having this conversation 3 years ago, 4 years ago. 3-4 years ago, we started really, I think it was like COVID time. We started really having the cybersecurity conversation, and it has done nothing but prove us 100% right, because we have come down that path. We have hit it really, really well. And the bottom line is that liability will be handed down. And unless you remove the liability, and I'm not saying prevent hacks, because you can't, but you have conversations with the clients. It's all about your process. Think about the doctor or the accounting firm or any of these other companies. The doctor can't prevent all diseases, all sicknesses, but they can do their best to give the right advice, and people get sick. It is what it is. The same with the dentist. They can't prevent all cavities. It is what it is. The same with the accounting firm. They can't prevent all audits. The same with any of these other industries. They can't prevent all these things. They just do their best to show that they gave the client the right information, and then Mr. Client make a choice. And then they help them to be in a world where they can recover properly with insurance, various other things based on your risk factors. That's the world that this industry is moving into. Now, the cool thing is, like I said earlier, this is the gold rush. But the crappy thing is, unless you remove all of this liability that I talked about, you own it. And I want you to be very conscious of this. You heard me mention a couple minutes ago, this is all about where you're at in the time period. And the number one regret that I hear coming out, we ask our members, what's your regrets about this or what's your regrets about that? The only regret that guys say is, I wish I would have started working on this sooner. Not necessarily because they run into a lot of hacks, but because they're realizing that they've had an opportunity for 6, 9, 12, 24, 36 months, and they kind of like been thumbing their nose up at it. versus our guys are making money using this strategy. Now, 0 of this means we're scamming clients. 0. And Weiser and Phillips are never, ever going to tell you, go scam clients and double your rates. No, you show them what they should have and think what they should have. They should have the best. That's what effectively our job is as an IT service provider, is to analyze what our clients need, give them our recommendation, which should be the best for their needs. That varies. But for the most part, it's a complete stack. That's what they should have now. And then make the client make a choice. And if the client says, I want less, okay, you can have less, but I'm not going to be left holding the bag. That's it. It's having that conversation and making sure they're aware. Now, Cindy's going to walk you through how we do that. I'm making sure you understand the why. Because if you don't put this stuff in place, I want you to understand how relevant gross negligence is going to, it's already becoming this. We've seen some of our guys that are in our program that have done a phenomenal job doing the CSRA process. We call this whole thing running the play, by the way. We've had our guys, we got Steven, Cindy, right? I'm not going to mention Steven's name, but we got Steven. Steven's done a phenomenal job doing CSRAs, delivering this, had a client have a breach. And literally the company that he was going after is trying to pin it on him, even though he did everything right. Everything right. Because they're trying to say, you were negligent. I don't want to pay the bill. I don't want to pay you. I don't want to pay the bill. I don't want to pay the client. I don't want to make sure that they recover. Well, that's why they have insurance. Yeah, but we don't want to pay the claim because there's 19,000 loopholes in this policy, blah, blah, blah. That's the stuff you have to be aware of, because you have to, because I promise you, if you don't have ammo and your client gets hacked, you're cooked. I don't care if you got insurance or not. You might get one get out of jail free card with an insurance provider, but that's all you're going to get. Maybe. So I want to ask you guys that are here with us live. Got a lot of people watching on live, a lot of people watching on the recording. Has Chris turned on your risk light bulb? We call it the risk light bulb because when the character in the cartoon or the movie gets a bright idea, light bulb turns on. Have I turned on your risk light bulb? I want you to think about that. I want you to think about where you sit, and I want you to think about the risk light bulb, or are you still eating the risk sandwich? Are you the one that's sitting around right now hoping and praying that your clients don't have a breach, hack, ransom, when you know that is literally a lesson in futility? I want you to be mindful of that. I want you to be very, very conscious of all the stuff I'm talking about. Because here's the deal, guys. Gone are the days of not signing a master service agreement before you get into work on a prospect. Think about what we used to do. Cindy, here's how we actually used to do service for the most part. We walk in the door, look at a network, look around. They're like, okay, I need this. We just get to work. 98 times out of 100, we would just get to work. Most MSPs are that way. We'll just get to work. We'll just look at this. They would log us into the server. We'd start looking at stuff. Boom, boom, boom. We'd maybe plug in a USB jump drive, run some scans. Can't do that anymore, guys. Too much liability out there. And also way too much liability in not doing an actual cybersecurity full-blown risk assessment. On top of that, you have to also deliver, as part of your service level, a full cyber stack. And I want you to be very, very aware of how big of a deal this is. Now, I'm not saying you have to mandate this and eat all this cost, because that's the other thing that most MSPs are doing. MSPs are like, okay, I know I need to do this, but my client's never going to pay more. So I have to deliver this whole suite of services, but I'm charging them $40 a month a seat or less sometimes. Who's going to make that money? So I got to make it up in projects. I got to make it up in all these other things. When in reality, you should be having the conversation with your client. Because even if they deliver the full cyber stack, you still can't prevent all the hacks. Who are they going to blame? And this is the big factor. If you're not crossing the T's and dotting the I's along the way behind you, delivering a full cybersecurity risk assessment, showing them and educating them the way. Here's why. Giving them, when they refuse additional services, some type of a letter or some type of an agreement or something that says, here's where the line in the sand is of what we're going to do and what we can stop and what we can't. Because the other thing that you're going to run into, and I mentioned this way earlier, is you're going to start to get mandated by your insurance carrier and legislation and all these other things that are coming down the pipe. They're going to start mandating you to do all that stuff. Then what? You want to hit this stuff ahead of time, because not only how will you refute a charge of gross negligence, but when your client gets hit, they're going to have to debate it too. And it's going to fall. Cindy mentioned the supply chain hack stuff earlier. It's going to go right downhill, right? Think about that shared bound of competence that you can have now. Cindy's going to talk a bunch about this, but you need to really, really embrace this, and you need to reframe how you sell this whole thing. So it's all about informing them, showing them that there's risk, leading the client to a place where they understand in their head, holy crap, it's not just about a more expensive widget now, or more expensive hourly rates, or more expensive block time, or more expensive servers, or more expensive cloud. Now it's about, I have to have this stuff in place, because if I don't, I can't get the insurance company to pay the recovery bill. And once they realize that, so if you lead them there and they realize that, you're going to start to see that price objection reduce. You're going to see that price objection maybe even eliminated based on how good you sell. So once the client realizes, holy crap, I need cybersecurity, I need these coverages, I need all this stuff, they're like, holy cow, how do I do that? I can actually do this. And how do we create that need? We have to show them the pain. We have to show them all these different things by doing a full cybersecurity risk assessment, by showing them and creating that emotion. With all of that, we can accelerate the decisions, we can remove the objections. And then Cindy's going to talk about margins next. Speaking of Cindy, let's hand it over to her. Cindy, I'm going to bring your stuff up on screen here. Here we go. You are live.
All right. Let's see if my buttons work. Here we go. The why.
Good to go. Good to go.
Right. Good stuff. All right. So here's the thing. Chris has talked to you about how things have changed and you've got to do things a little bit differently. For me, it all comes down to one thing. Cybersecurity is the wedge issue. It's the thing that creates a gap in the prospect or your client's mind between how the world used to be and how the world is now. And this is why you need to really hook on cybersecurity, because if you don't, they won't want to change. And everybody's got to change in this equation. You've got to change, they've got to change. And the reason is because the criminals are making off with people's money. It's really that simple. So it's 2024. What does that really mean to you right now? It means that cybersecurity risk is here to stay. So I want to tell you a couple of stories that make it easy for people to understand and really click on the fact that cybersecurity is causing a real and material difference in our world today in the way that we live. So quick question. Who besides me likes bacon? If you like bacon, put bacon in the chat right now. Bacon, bacon, bacon. Okay, in 2021, there was a huge meat manufacturing company in South Carolina, and they got hit with this epic, huge cyber attack. Have you noticed what's happened to the price of bacon since then? The first thing that happened was bacon went from like $3.99 a pack up to like $5 and $6.99 a pack. And then the second thing that happened is a pack of bacon. Aiden likes bacon. Awesome. A pack of bacon went from 16 ounces down to 12 ounces. Have you guys noticed that bacon has done that? Okay, well, in the world today, people want to talk about inflation. I don't want to talk about inflation. I want to talk about the fact that criminals are taking somewhere around 9.6% off the top of all the money that's flowing through the worldwide economy today. Bacon is how you remember that they're coming for your lunch, okay? Bacon is how you remember that cybersecurity risk is here to stay. And it's happening in lots of other places. But nobody takes the actual event that happened and ties it back, ties it right down, knots it down, and ties it down to our everyday life, okay? I'm seriously, I'm pissed about the price of bacon. I don't think it's fair that a bunch of criminals attacked a company and 3 years later, I'm having to pay a ton more money for bacon. And then I asked myself, I said, Cindy, where else are you having to pay more money? Right? And the thing is, when I tie it back to something simple like bacon, you realize that nobody is stopping the cyber criminal. Nobody's stopping them. Okay. So, how long are you going to wait before you decide you have to do something to change? Because right now, it's like we're living in the wild, wild west, and people are worse yet. It's like going to grade school and the bully's taking your lunch money every day. How long are you going to let this keep going on? Because you've got to decide to change the equation somehow. And the really interesting thing is we are never, ever, ever going back to Mayberry RFD. We're never going back to the days when people could say, oh, I'm not going to lock my car. I'm not going to lock up my house. I'm not going to lock up my systems and my data. No, we're not going back there. Those days are gone, right? They're totally gone. So you've got to realistically ask yourself the question, how many of your clients will be breached? And I want to be very clear about something. You can be the greatest IT and security guy or gal in the entire universe, but you do not control the people that work for your clients. And we all know that the criminals have learned, they've studied human behavior. They have learned how to exploit humans in order to separate them for their money. And what the internet has done and what all this connectedness has done is it's put criminals at your doorstep faster than ever before. So I'm serious about this. How many of your clients are going to get breached? Have you thought about this? Because that's a question you need to answer. Because when your clients get breached, how many of them are going to sue you when insurance gets involved? Now, here's the simple example. Everybody drives to the grocery store. You go to the grocery store, you park the car, somebody basically runs into you. Bang, there's a fender bender. Everybody's friendly until somebody says, can I have your insurance information? Because at that point, we know that the insurance company is going to get involved. So what happens when your clients get cyber attacked and you're there providing service like you have been for the last 10 years? Without the right contracts, without the right limitations on liability, without the right security prevention standards, when they're not following your new improved standard of care, and insurance comes and looks for you, the stakes are higher than ever before. So the thing is, you can't ignore this. So my question is your risk light bulb on? And if your risk light bulb is on, I want you to head over to that chat and I want you to type in, hell yeah, my risk light bulb's on. Just hell yeah. Just give me a hell yeah right now that your risk light bulb is on, because it is super, super important. And the reason it's super important is because you can't just be aware of the problem. You have to take action. You have to do something about it. So I'm going to show you how to do something. Danny, thank you. I'm going to show you how, Aiden, I'm going to show you how to do something, because it all comes down to understanding whether or not you know how big a hole you're stepping into. Everybody that you do business represents a real and material risk to your business. And you may be taking these people on as clients when you don't even understand the most fundamental and basic things about their business. And thank you, Monica and Miriam, for hell yeahing it up. Okay. So now what I want you to do is I want to know if you're asking your prospect the right questions. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to get my supercomputer out. I hope you get yours. But the first thing I want you to do is I want you to prove that you're asking your prospects the right questions. So, mental game. You guys ready? First thing we're going to do, I want you to put in your mind's eye the last prospect you talked to. Okay? You got the last prospect in your mind, last company you went out and you pitched them something. Maybe they said yes, maybe they said no, but it was the last sales deal you worked on. Okay? Do you have that client in your mind right here? You know where they are? Okay. first question I have for you with regard to that last client, and I'll just put this in here so we can answer it, and I can see where your answers come. But the prospect's annual sales last year, how much was that in millions? Okay, so let me forward my slides. Okay, so here we go. My last prospect's annual sales was this much money. So here's my question. Do you know your last prospect's annual sales? Do you know that? If you know it, put the number in the chat, okay? I want to see if you guys know how much money your last prospect made. Now, while I'm waiting for you to type that number in, there's probably at least one person on the call who's going, ooh, I don't want to ask that question, right? Cindy, why would I ever ask somebody how much money they're making in their business? Well, here's the deal. Money, number of employees, number of locations, those are three things that will tell you how at risk a company is for a cyber attack. Did you ever think of it that way before? I bet you were thinking about the network, or I bet you were thinking about security training for the employees. No, you don't need to know any of that. You need to know how much money's flowing through that business. So, Gene, thanks for putting in 3 million. That's awesome. That's a great number. We want to be calling on going concerns. We want to be calling on businesses that are making money. Let me give you a pro tip. If they're not making at least $300,000 a year per employee, they're going to be struggling for money. Okay. So we know their annual sales. Great. If you don't know your annual sales, I can teach you how to ask that question without feeling embarrassed and get an answer every time. Okay. Now, the second question I want you to be able to ask is I want you to be able to say this, which is how much insurance coverage do they have? How much insurance coverage do they have? My last prospect had this much in cyber insurance coverage. Now, you heard Chris talk about the dentist he shares an office building with, and they had 2 million. And that's actually what we recommend be the minimum, okay? 2 million insurance. But here's why, James, here's why you want to ask the question, how much do you have in insurance coverage? Number one, if they have insurance coverage, you know that they don't have their head in the sand. Number two, when you ask them how much coverage do you have, you're setting a subliminal expectation that they should have the coverage. And so if they don't, oh man, they're going to feel a little behind the 8 ball, as they should. Okay. But when I ask, how much insurance coverage do you have? I'm assuming that you're operating sort of what I would call at the level of appropriate best practice for running any kind of business. You've got errors and omissions insurance. You've got regular insurance. You got insurance for all different kinds of things. How much is your cyber insurance coverage? Now, when they tell you they have cyber insurance coverage, now we know we have a qualified prospect. Okay. We now know we have a qualified prospect. Let's see how qualified they really are. So let's ask the next question, which is this. My last prospect had a cyber review on this date. So you ask the client, when was your last cybersecurity review? When was your last security review? Either way, both ways of asking that question will work. But you ask them, when was your last review? When was your last audit? Because you want to hear a day, a month, day, and a year. Okay? Now, I want you to think about something. This is kind of maybe going out over the tops of my skis here, but when was the last time you did a security review on your own business? I can't hear you. When was the last time you did a cybersecurity review on your own business? Now, when we know how much money, when we know how much insurance, and when we know when they had their last cybersecurity thing, we now know how big of a gap this business likely has. Okay? So, do you see why it's so important to ask those 3 questions? Give me a hell yeah in the chat over there. Give me a hell yeah if these 3 questions like made your head go, right? Because you got to know the answer to these 3 questions. Because Why do we have to know the answer to these 3 questions? Why do we have to know this? Why do we have to know these 3 questions? Tell me why these 3 questions. Why do we need to know these 3 questions? Yeah, Aiden's giving me a hell yeah, which I love. But why do we need to know these 3 questions? Why is that? You tell me. What are these 3 questions going to do for you? Right? What are these 3 questions going to do for you? They're going to change the game. They're going to change the game. And the reason they're going to change the game is because the facts actually matter. Okay? This is not fear-based selling. This is about confronting the facts. And Aiden's got it right. To calculate the business risks that we can offset, to understand the value we can provide. Aiden, you are so dialed in and so on it. And you can't figure that stuff out without asking real questions, because context changes everything. Okay? So I want you to put that prospect in your mind's eye, right? You're thinking about that prospect again. And now I want to ask you a question. How much were you going to charge? What was your monthly fee going to be? What was the monthly fee you were going to charge your last prospect? Put your monthly fee in the chat, because I want to show you some things about relativism, and I want to show you some things about how to escape the commodity trap, because it's very easy. So I need at least 3 numbers in the chat over here, so I've got something to work with, so I can show you exactly how this works. So I'm going to scroll back up here in the chat just a little bit, because I had a 3 million number. I've got 3 million from Gene and 3.5 million from Christian. So I'm going to give a shout out to Gene and to Christian. And if you're willing to play along, I would love to know what you were going to charge for a monthly fee for those. And this is the cost for monthly service, full remote service, total care, whatever you want to call it, whatever you were going to pitch the client. It's not for a CSRA, it's your total, right? So Aiden was going to charge 600 pounds for 2 people, which is a great price. That's awesome. I'm wondering if it was Gene and there was someone, Christian, Gene and Christian. If you're still with me, if you could put the numbers you were going to charge for your people, it would be very, very helpful. Because the question I want everyone to be able to answer is this one. My fee is this percentage, whatever it is, of the prospect's total annual sales. Okay, so let me give you an example. Let's say at a client that was doing $3 million. Okay, now most people, and you should write this down because it's a super important number. Most people, okay, great, that's cool, Gene. Most people spend anywhere from 3 to 6% of the annual sales on their technology budget, including security. So Christian was going to charge 300K, and was that a month, Christian? 300K a month, or was that a year, right? 300K for the year, maybe? You're going to tell me here in just a second. But what we're going to do is we're going to take that fee, whatever that fee is, and we're going to multiply it by 12 if it's a monthly MRR, and we're going to divide by the annual sales. So I'm going to say that Christian gave me 300K for a year. So I'm going to take 300K, and he had a $3.5 million business. So I'm going to take 300K and I'm going to divide it by 3.5 million. And Christian was going to charge them, way to go, buddy, 8.5% of their annual sales for their technology and security. Go get it. That is wonderful. Most people, great, per year, awesome. Most people, when we do this call, are charging less than 1%. So can you see, give me a hell yeah in the chat if this makes sense to you, that when you take your monthly fee, multiply it by 12, and divide by the client's annual sales, the numbers are going to change for you. They're likely going to go up because many people, sadly, have been charging way too little. We want the right client with the right scope at the right price. Okay. And when we start looking at the business from a top line perspective on how much money flows through, then all of a sudden the game is completely different, because we're explaining it completely differently. Because the number one thing we do, and thank you, Christian, thank you, Mark, the number one thing we do is my fee. My fee helps protect their monthly cash flow. Now, how many of you, true confession, have ever been cash flow negative? It's an ugly thing. Cash flow negative is something many businesses can't recover from. So what happens when I get hit by a cyber attack and I'm down for 20 days and I'm not making any money and I'm still having to pay my people? Do you think most people, most businesses have a cushion to take into account what's happened there? Or are they going to have to do what the bacon people did? Are they going to have to double the price and take the size of the product down by 25%? And what about all the businesses that are getting hacked that we don't know about, that are having to face those same kinds of decisions? I want you to be very clear that the reason we're going to be in business, the reason that we are in business, is because of the statement on this slide right here. My fee helps protect their monthly cash flow, right? So do you ask yourself the right questions? Hopefully going through this, thinking about your prospect, right, gives you a way of saying, oh my God, it is about the money. Okay. But now what I want to do is I want to pivot a little bit and I want to look at your business and I want to know if you've been asking yourself the right questions. Okay. And the way we do this is we do a quick test. So here's the quick test. What is your monthly recurring revenue all in? And trust me, don't make this complicated. I don't care how you collect the money. I don't care if it's Voice or Microsoft Office 365 or it's Office or it's QuickBooks Online. I don't care what you're selling. I want you to take everything you sell that you get paid on a monthly recurring contract, that's MRR, and I want you to take your MRR all in, take that number, and then I want you to count up how many endpoints, all types, servers, desktops, I don't care, in your RMM. And what I want you to do is I want you to divide your MRR by your number of endpoints, because that's going to calculate Cindy's favorite metric, your all-in seat price. Now, I know you don't sell it that way. Okay, I know that. And I know that you could be a whole lot more complicated in how you count the money and how you divide it by the endpoints. But here's the thing. I have coached, oh my God, close to 2,000 people now. And when I get this number, where you take your MRR and divide it by the number of endpoints and get your all-in seat price, I can tell you exactly how you sell. Okay? So do me a favor. Here's what we want to do. I want you to put your all-in seat price. Oops, I typed that wrong. Your all-in seat price into the chat. So Jean, I love this statement you've put in here. That's a masterclass statement on how much they put aside to pay for ransomware in their annual budget. That is right on. That is like massively knock it out of the park. Awesome statement. So while you guys are calculating your all-in seat price, remember, MRR divided by number of endpoints in your RMM. Okay? Do the math on that. Okay? And then I want you to put it into the chat. And what I'll do is I'll give each of you just a couple of minutes of direct coaching on what your all-in seat price means. Who wants to know what their all-in seat price average means to their business? Okay? Because that's what we want to find out. Okay? So hopefully you guys are doing the math. I'm going to go forward a little bit. I want you to put that in the chat so we can have a real conversation about where your business is. I want you to put that all-in seat price in the chat, because what happens is once you have your all-in seat price in the chat, then what we can do is we can say, okay, what would it really look like to your cash flow? What would it really look like to your business if you were bold enough to say, hey, you know what, I'm going to do it a little bit differently? And Jean, I agree with you. If you're just a reseller, it's a little bit difficult. But one of the things about just being a reseller, and I don't know if you're thinking about this, but when I take technology and I wrap it with workflow and I wrap it with trained people and I deliver a service, I now have an opportunity to get massive economies of scale, and I have an opportunity to deliver something that cannot be directly compared on a price point like a line item when you're just reselling software. Yeah, so I know that's why you're here. Okay, so Aiden's got $90 per pound or 90 pounds per seat. Okay. And Aiden, it doesn't matter whether it's 90 pounds or whether it's $90 because the units of money are pretty much consistent across different countries. So at $90, you're not a bargain basement seller. At $90, you're doing okay, but you have months where things are tight. At $90 all in seat price, it's likely that you have some nights where you're awake thinking, I wonder how things are going to really get going for me, right? But you're not completely down at, say, $50. And we've had people come in at 50 because the average on people coming in is I think it's about $68. But when you're on the low end, you're competing on price and you're not leading with value. And what I can teach you to do is to lead with value. Christian, when you're sitting at 120, you're flirting with value. Okay. Now, here's the interesting thing about moving from 90 to 120 or from 90 to 150. You flirt with value, but there's a little bit of inside of yourself, maybe some little imposter syndrome, where you don't ask for 300 because you have things in your head that tell you people really won't pay it. Okay. So what we teach you to do is move to where the money is, move to where the demand is, and move to where people really want what you have. So when you're selling at 90 or below, you may have more clients than you would want that don't really do what you ask them to do. They think they're in charge of you. They think they can tell you how to do your job. And those days are over because the game has completely changed. Okay, so the next step, so you know where you stand, is I want you to take your total number of endpoints that are in your RMM, and I want you to multiply by just 100. Okay, so if you've got 200 endpoints, I'll do the math right now. Let's say you have 200 endpoints, and we multiply by 100. That's $20,000. Okay, so take your total endpoints times $100, and then I want you to divide by 2. Okay. That's how much money, $10,000, that's how much money you can make in 6 months. That's your upgrade goal. And I want you to put your upgrade goal in the chat because should you decide to join the program on Tuesday, that's the first thing we do is we set your sales upgrade goal and we write the sales upgrade goal down on a little pink sticky and we stick it up by our camera so we know exactly what we're shooting for. And remember, I'm only adding $100. So I'm taking you from 90 to 190, when in fact, I'm going to teach you to go from 90 to 300. So your sales upgrade goal is highly, highly achievable. Dear friend Mark, who's in the program, I set his sales upgrade goal at 55,000. And he sent me a note the other day and told me he was 110K. Now, Mark is not your average bear, right? You guys on fire. But who else can be on fire? Anybody who wants to do it. That's the thing. So you got to have a sales upgrade goal. So whether you come into our program or not, I want you to think about these numbers, how the numbers work, and how simple the numbers are. Because when you stay focused on how simple this is, that's when you start getting what you want. That's how much MRR you can get when you run the play and follow the process. So what I want to do now is I want to show you how cash flow will solve all your problems. Okay? Do you ask yourself the right questions? Yourself the right questions. Does the prospect qualify to be your client? Now, I really wish I could see all your faces right now because I would love to know how many of you are raising your hand when I ask you this question. Does this prospect, does this deal that you're working on, does it meet your requirements? What's your minimum deal size? I call this my get out of bed number. I will not get out of bed. I won't do anything. Or as someone once teased me, I won't lift a finger unless I get my minimum deal size. Okay? What's your minimum deal size? Do you chase every deal or do you chase the ones that are going to move the needle? You got to have a minimum deal size. Does this deal that I'm talking about doing, does it meet my financial requirements? And I'm just going to tell you what my financial requirements are. I take my costs, I take my hard costs, I add my estimated labor so that I'm all in on fully remote and a little bit of on-site labor. Like maybe I'm putting in 30 minutes per endpoint per month or 15 or an hour or whatever it is you want to put in. But I am, by God, putting my labor in above the line in cost of goods sold. And I'm tracking it because every single piece of labor is in ticket or it didn't happen. Okay. I'm taking my costs, hard cost plus labor, and I'm multiplying by 5. And the reason I'm doing that is because that's going to give me an 80% gross margin. That's my financial requirement. What's your financial requirement? What do you need to have? My minimum deal gross margin is how much? How much is your minimum deal gross margin? And I'm going to tell you why you have to start at 80. You're going to tell me 80 is way too high. Oh, Cindy, that's just crazy. I can't do that. Well, let me ask you this. Where are you going to get the money to pay for a lawyer when one of your customers gets hacked and the insurance company comes after you and you need to have a lawyer in the mix to talk to their lawyers? Where are you going to get the money to pay for that? You got to get it out of your gross margin. Okay? Gone are the days when you can just do like a 17% uplift and pretend that you're an Amazon affiliate. There's too much risk in the water. You can't do that. So you got to have a minimum deal gross margin. I encourage you to establish that. Then you got to ask the question, did I follow all the steps prior to presenting the deal? Okay. Did I follow all the steps? Because when you skip steps, you leave money on the table. It's an absolute proven fact. So now you're asking me, okay, Cindy, what steps do I need to follow? So let's finally go. Let's finally get it together and let's go on what are the steps. Chris said I would show you the how. Get your screen capture stuff out because here we go. I'm going to teach you how to pivot your sales conversation and get out of commodity land. And the way we do it is we run the play and we follow the process every single time. We qualify people in. If they don't have the money, we tell them right for you at this time, but can we keep you on our nurture, invite you to our parties? But if they don't have the money, move on. Okay. Now, we ask you to do a cybersecurity risk assessment. Now, how many of you remember the guys that used to wear the orange shirts that worked at Network Detective? I used to work with Network Detective back then. I love some of those guys, right? So here's the thing. Back when we used to do assessments, network assessments, what did we do? We punched a button, we ran a network assessment, and we kind of put ourselves on autopilot. And maybe we used part of it to drive a sale. Well, when I use the words cybersecurity risk assessment, make no freaking mistake. I am not talking about pushing a godforsaken button and having a bunch of automatically generated reports that prints out a pretty picture that you go drop on somebody's desk and fold your arms and then ask them for $300 a seat. That is not what I'm talking about here. That's a lazy way to do it. If you want to get people to change how they think about security and have a security first mindset, you have got to build a relationship with them. Here's how we do it. We start with a first call where we actually truly qualify people out so we do not waste time on people who are not a fit and will not meet the minimum deal requirements and will not meet the margin requirements. We screen people out on purpose. While we're talking to them, we also build rapport so they understand how we're different between anybody they may have used now or used in the past. We create a wedge that opens a question in their mind about, are they getting what they really want and need? Then we do a discovery call. And when we do the discovery call, we ask a prescribed set of questions to get them to share with us how things are really working in their business. And we're going to know if they've been hacked before. We're going to know if they've paid ransom. We're going to know if their current provider is doing a good job or not. We're going to know what regulations they have to adhere to and whether or not they're box checking or taking it seriously. And after we have that conversation at the end of about 40 minutes, we're going to pivot and let them know why we are in this business. And we're not in this business just to take their money. You got to stand on your why, and you got to tell people why you do what you do. And if you're not clear on why you run an MSP, we can help you with that. But you have got to stand on a why. Okay? And at the point at the end of the discovery call, that's when we say to them, we really need to understand your security position and what your security gaps are. And we do an in-depth review of your business. And this means we're going to talk to your leadership team. We're going to run some tests, and we're going to scan your infrastructure. Now, notice this. We're going to interview your leadership team. You can't phone that in. You can't press a button and run a scan on that. You're going to actually have to go out and talk to people and do that. And we have tools to help you have those conversations. But those are confidential conversations that are going to get all of the dead bodies out on the table. And you're going to know what does and doesn't work in that business. You want to have those kinds of conversations because every client represents a real and material risk to your business. Don't you want to know how they deal with things? Sure you do. Then you're going to test their people. And you know what? You may choose to test their people over a 30-day period so you can see what kind of behavior they're really going to exhibit when they're not being prompted or reminded to do things. You want them in their natural habitat. And then when we run the scans, we're going to run some slightly more sophisticated scans so you can see how the criminal element is attacking that company. Because at the end of that 30 days of gathering all that information, you want to know that company better than the criminals do. And you want to take that knowledge into a risk management conversation. Not a conversation about how we're going to do IT support for you and how we're going to always be here to reset your printers. We're going to take this into a security conversation. And that security conversation is going to be serious. And we're going to present them some information that they are absolutely not going to like, and they're going to have an emotional reaction, and you're going to help guide them through that process because you know what? You had the same emotional reaction when you realized you needed to pivot your business. And that should be where you're at right now. Right now, you ought to be asking yourself, am I ready to make the commitment to pivot my business? And when you do that, then we take them through onboarding. We do a 30-day review, and we tell people onboarding is 90 days. It doesn't happen overnight. And you have your first security review at the end of your full up onboarding. Okay. Now, when you do this every single time, what happens when you do this every single time? You have a repeatable system and a way of making money on a repeated basis. You have the right clients with the right scope at the right price. Now, when we do the cybersecurity risk assessment, there's a methodology that goes underneath this that's very similar how I used when I built that $3 million consulting business. I used a software process assessment out of the Carnegie Mellon University way back in the day. And there's a way of engaging leadership called an executive sponsorship meeting that gets leadership to back what you want to do before you even asked them for money. You do a security policy review, you inspect the physical environment, you do a network review, you interview their team, you do a data review, you look for intellectual property. Is this sounding like something you do in 2 hours by pressing a button? I don't think so. So then you're going to ask me, well, Cindy, is it really worth it to do this? This looks like an awful lot of work. Depends on what kind of business you want to have. It's really that simple. I want a business where people know what they want and are willing to pay for it. I don't want to be scrapping down at the bottom in a commodity. I also want to be in a business where I can manage my own risk. What do you think is going to happen to cybersecurity insurance premiums for MSPs? Are they going to go up or are they going to go down? They're going to go up. How are you going to deal with that increased cost? Like I said before, how are you going to pay for a lawyer when you need one? When we run the play, we move from $68 per seat on average to over $300. We run the same play every time. People will tell you, oh, there's price resistance out there. Well, I'm going to tell you something. When you skip steps, you run into price resistance. When you don't stand on your convictions about why you do what you do and how you do it, you run into price resistance. But you can do this on every client, every time. And when you do that, your world becomes remarkably different. So when you do what you've always done, you're going to get what you always got. And if you're happy with that, awesome. But if you're looking to build an asset, if you're looking to build a business that's going to meet your needs beyond today, maybe it's time to look at doing business a little bit differently. So let me hand it back to Chris.
All right, man. I hope you guys really, really take a lot from that, because the things that Cindy does, first of all, you're a genius. So I'll say that. That's from me to you. But second of all, I want you guys to realize there's no market that you can't do this in. Most of this stuff, like Cindy was just talking about there, that those price objections, all that stuff you're dealing with, that's what we call in seven-figure head trash. That's what so much of that is. I can't do this. I can't do that. And it's all because, for the most part, you're skipping steps. And secondarily, on top of that, you're more than likely so used to doing business the way that you did for so long that the thought of changing is almost impossible.
It's habit.
And a lot of it's habit. Yeah, very well said. And here's the thing, going all the way back to what I said in the very beginning. If you don't control when you make these changes, they will be controlled and made for you in the next, I'm not going to say it's going to happen next week, but in the next 5 years, without question.
Absolutely.
I mean, we're already seeing this, and it's usually in some type of a way that, just like what we saw with Giuseppe, I have a really large client that all of a sudden got hit with something, whether it was a vendor questionnaire or a ransom situation or some type of a massive action, to all of a sudden we're like, holy crap, now we got to deal with it. And we're all reactionary and then we do it wrong. So I want you to be very conscious of that. Along those lines, I want you to think whether or not your business is prepared. And this is more of just like a Chris and Cindy letting you know the things that you need to make sure you have. Now, obviously you need to, and what's really important about this is you definitely need to package and sell differently. Selling based on widgets or services or block time or servers or fine. Like Cindy said, if you're content with what you have, fine. But at some point here, you're going to be price shopped. And when that's the lowest common denominator, you're going to lose. Like, I don't care whether you win a couple here and there, you're going to lose in the long run, because cash flow is what kills everything. So you got to have a master service agreement that is incident ready. When we say incident ready, your clients are going to get hacked. Incident ready. Also, you need to have a statement of work that goes along with it. Incident ready. And you need to have a service level objective or service level agreement that is also incident ready and scalable. Really important things. And if you guys have any questions on this, please ask in the chat, because I'm going to, we'll do Q&A in a couple minutes here. You also need to make sure not only does every single client have cybersecurity insurance, you should be using this as a wedge in your sales process. As you go in to talk to these prospects, as you go in to talk to your existing clients, have them give you a copy of their current policy, their cybersecurity insurance, their cybersecurity liability insurance if they have any kind of tech relations to their clients. Also, you need to make sure you have a minimum $2 million policy for your MSP and your supply chain liability potential issues. Let's say one of your vendors gets hit. What does that agreement look like? What does the agreement look like related to passing down liability? Or depends, right? A lot of variables in there. So you need to make sure the best time to ask this stuff is right now. It's really important. Also, we recommend you run the play like Cindy was talking about. She kind of gave you the whole baseline right there, what to do. We recommend you run the play on every single existing client you have. You're probably going to get roughly, Cindy, disagree with me if I'm wrong on this, probably going to get roughly 60% acceptance if you present, do your CSRAs, present, and sell properly. That's about the average our MSP clients see. Maybe you guys are a little bit lower than that because you're not necessarily knowing what to do and you're having to figure it out along the way. So maybe you're 20 to 50% ballpark. But the bottom line is you're going to have even our best performers get 40%. No, we don't want to spend money on this. So what happens then? You have to be prepared to draw a line in the sand. What is that line in the sand? Hey, we'll leave you exactly where you're at. Totally fine. We're not going to mandate you go on this, but we're going to say when you get breached, and we're informing you that you're probably going to have a breach because we can't stop all hacks. Here's what the plan's going to be. Here's your level of risk that you're accepting. Here's how much you're going to pay. Here's what the billable rate's going to be. Here's what the hourly rate's going to be. Here's how response time's going to be, et cetera. So you're setting the stage before it happens. We call that a risk acceptance notification statement. Side note, I did not call that an agreement. We call that a statement. Think about the insurance company. Cindy, I gave an example this morning. I have a mortgage on my home. I built a new home about 2 years ago. I have a mortgage on my home. I had Berkshire Hathaway Guard as my home insurance, and they ended the product. So I got a notice from my mortgage company that said, hey, we received notice that your policy is expiring or not being renewed. It's on you to go find new stuff. That wasn't an agreement letter that I signed, that I had to sign. They literally gave me notification that said, based on your policy, based on your mortgage, if you don't go out and get this, we're just going to do it for you, and then we're going to bill you for it.
Right on.
That's what happens. So it's the same exact concept as that. That just happened to me. Usually I use the flood insurance scenario with my parents, but that literally just happened to me with my house. So I had to go out and I have Chubb now is actually what I have. And I was able to combine home and auto. So I get a little bundle discount anyway. So it worked out, but that's really important. Next thing you have to make sure you're doing, along with your CSRAs, you have to inform your clients that they are going to have breaches. They are going to get hacked. And what's our plan? Are you doing tabletop exercises? Simulate. Remember when we were kids and we did fire drills and everybody ran outside and on the playground? We all got outside at school. We went the exits. We took the evacuation routes, blah, 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 all that stuff. You got to be doing the same type of stuff as part of your delivery with your clients. This is you getting prepared. And what's cool about all of this stuff, though, I just went through all those steps, is that shows your client, oh, crap, this is real. These are emotional triggers. This is stuff that they're like, oh, we need to, obviously we signed a new MSA with them, whether or not we're on service or not. There's incident response discussions in there. We have to get cybersecurity insurance. We got a risk acceptance statement from them. And, oh my God, they showed us what's going to happen when a hack really happens. That's the kind of stuff you guys got to make sure you're doing, because otherwise, man, it ain't fun to catch your tail on one of these breaches. I'm going to tell you that. Okay, next up, we got some Q&A time here. Let's see if we got any questions that have come up. Anybody got any questions that we need to cover? Anybody have anything that you want us to go through? Cindy, you have anything that we found here? If you guys got a current chat question, throw it in the chat. I don't care what platform you're on. We got a lot of guys participating on YouTube with us today. YouTube is becoming a really great platform to do webinars on. I'm a big fan of this, by the way. And we are using, just so you guys know, we're using StreamYard. And we're simulcasting StreamYard. It's StreamYard.com. And we're simulcasting to 30 different locations right now. So it's kind of cool. Okay, let's see. I think we had a couple up here. I want to reiterate this really quick here before we do this. I really like Jean's comment related to this as you were presenting, Cindy, about asking how much clients put aside to pay for ransomware in their annual budget. I really like that, Jean. That's the first time I've actually seen somebody doing that, but that is a phenomenal wedge. I think that is a great job. And when I talk about the wedge, guys, we had Mr. Randy Schwantz at our live event in Indianapolis about a month ago. Randy has a book called The Wedge that I would highly recommend. Either you listen to the audiobook or get the book on Zoom. Okay, so Gene just asked, here comes another question from Gene. What do I need to put together to be a successful managed security service provider? Okay, so a couple things here, and I'll answer some of this, and then we'll let Cindy do that. So I think the biggest thing is you need to have a really good sales process. You need to have a really good stack of what you're going to do. Those two things are really, really key. Most people are like, oh, I have to have compliance. I have to have all these other pieces. Yes, that's key. But the cool thing about the MSP industry is we have all these vendors now that you can partner with that are doing most of that already. So I would recommend you have a really good sales process. I would have a really good marketing process. You should effectively be a sales and marketing firm that delivers managed security services. That is really where your mindset should be. And then find a decent, good cybersecurity stack. I would do a fully managed partner. There's various ones out there. I'm not going to name any names right now, but we have a bunch that sponsor our program. And sponsor our live events. There's a ton of them out there, but I would focus on baseline with that, and then focus on being a really strong sales and marketing firm out of the box, because I'm going to tell you right now, finding clients and delivering the proper profitability in today's market is absolutely massively key. Cindy, I want to get your take.
Yeah. So the big thing is be smart with who you decide to do business with from a stack perspective. We can show you how to do the sales and marketing. I'm going to talk to you now about right price, right client, right price, right scope, that putting it all together. One thing you don't want to do is you don't want to be over-teched. You don't want to have too much technical stuff in there, have too much overload, and blow your margins, right? So it's super important to not have shiny object syndrome, is what we call it around here. So you got to be lean and mean on the stack. You have to have the right layers of overlap, but not too much.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. And like Cindy said here, sales process, technical stack with partner labor included. I would totally agree with that. Next question. Do I need engineers on staff? Honestly, you probably don't. Not like, depends on the level that you have. Cindy, I know you got a comment on this.
No, I'm saying you need one.
Okay. Cindy's saying you need one. It really depends on I was assuming that, and that's where I was kind of going. Like, I was assuming that you are somewhat technical. Most of your clients, most of your vendors are going to, depending on who you choose for that partner, they're probably going to have it. And if I was to start, and I'll just tell you right now, Cindy, if I was to start an MSSP right now, I would not have anybody internal unless I had to roll a truck physically. So if I was fully remote company, which is in my world, and here's what I would do right now. If it was Chris Weiser starting an MSSP, I would be a fully remote firm. I would focus more on incident response than anything. And I would partner with third-party companies to make sure that my service delivery was good. And I would not have any physical guys that I had to roll. That's how I would do it. Now there's, certain things, but here's the deal with Upwork and all these other things, you can contract based on projects now. You kind of don't need W-2 employees anymore. I don't think, like, you really don't.
So Chris,
that's my thought.
Yeah. So Chris, what I've seen in all the deep dive business reviews that I've done in Trailblazers is that there's a certain amount of owner angst if they don't have at least one technician. And if I were going to categorize this one technician, Chris, I would call it a strong level 2. And the reason you want one technician strong level 2 is because from time to time in the onboarding process, you're going to need somebody to go out there.
Yeah. Now here's what I'll say to that. And I will counter that with, that's a little bit of head trash that those guys have because they're so used to working with on-site in-person people.
Right.
I think you could 100% pull that off with a South American or European contractor and do
Absolutely.
really,
And we've got people doing that
yeah,
out of, particularly people out of South Africa.
correct. Yeah,
Right.
And South America too.
Right.
So I think it can be, obviously there's, no immediate 100% answer, but look at this, Cindy, like 8 years ago, if I was going to say I'm going to build a 8-figure MSP training arm, everybody like, well, you got to build a location and have everybody in your office. I don't have any. Look, I got this 1,500 square foot office. I'm the only one here. Everybody works remote.
We get more done. We get a ton more done because we're not in the office with
Yep, exactly. And I also go to work in a t-shirt and shorts. So that's my thoughts on that. So great question, Gene. And Gene just said, I'm mostly sales. Me neither, buddy. Like Cindy said here, partner with a third-party incident response company. So here's a question from Jeffrey. Will there be other challenges, or would the difficulty to do this for a one-man shop be greater? So here's what your difficulty is going to be, Jeffrey. It's going to be getting yourself out of the trenches is going to be your challenge. I did this. Now, granted, it's a long time ago, so it's probably even harder because the technology wasn't here. So I had to go in the trenches a little bit to get my first deal. I was the first contract guy, fulfillment guy. I was good on site. I had a orthopedic clinic that was a 120 person orthopedic clinic. I was their 20-hour a week IT guy. Installed their servers on project basis and all this other stuff, basically managed it all, took over somebody else's mess, fixed it, cleaned it up. It was great. That enabled me to hire my first guy, which was a help desk guy. And I basically scaled up from there and got myself out of service work and all that. So you can do the same stuff here, but you got to focus on sales and you got to focus on revenue. Cindy? Yeah,
that's really the deal. That's how it works. That's what we got to do. And whenever we want to make a change and we're thinking, is this what I need to do? Just one step at a time, make the change. That's the way to get it done.
Yep, I love it. Okay, great question, James Kim. How do you effectively convince a customer? There's one key word in here. There's a major red flag that I want to talk about. How do you effectively convince a customer to increase their monthly subscription when you realize you are undercharging for your services? First of all, the key word that's a red flag is convince. You have to lead them. This goes back to my discussion. First of all, you do a CSRA, full cybersecurity risk assessment, and you have to present them all the risk. Now, if you don't know how to do that, book a call with us as we get into my presentation a little bit further here. Book a call with us. We'll walk you through how to do that. We have an entire system for how to do this. But you have to lead them to see the light. You can't convince them. If you're going to have to, if you try and convince them, it's like trying to convince a girl to kiss you on the first date. It's not going to work. She's got to want to do it. Right? We're all laughing. I know we're laughing at that because that's one of that's a wiser dummy comment. But you got to understand that's how big of a deal it is. They have to think in their head. They got to be like, ding, risk light bulb's got to go on. And they're like, holy crap, I need to do more. Yes, I want to. How do you want to manage your risk? I would love to manage it with you. Please show me what it's going to take to manage it. And once that risk light bulb goes on, it kind of doesn't matter what it costs, but they got to realize that they need you. That's it. Cindy?
Yeah, they've got to want to change. And so, James, when you think that you have done everything for a client, I will tell you, I've had this conversation so many times. You think you've given them everything you need. If you run a comprehensive CSRA, you're going to find things that are not currently in your stack, or you're going to find processes that you could wrap around your stack that will give them information that is critical to keeping their business as safe as possible. So we take that software, we wrap it with workflow, we wrap it with trained people, we wrap it with VCIO type conversations. And now we're talking about a completely different service offer than what you're currently giving them. Now, when we get to the point where we want to put the price together, remember, how do we do the price? 5 times your cost, including labor above the line. And when you do it that way, good things are going to happen. So don't worry about the convincing part so much. Worry about letting them come to the decision themselves by simply asking the right questions. When you ask the right questions, they will answer it in a way that takes them down the path when you show them the right information.
Exactly that. Exactly that. Okay, great questions, guys. Cindy, was there anything else that you wanted to answer?
No, that's it, man.
Okay, cool. I'm going to continue. If you guys got any more questions, throw it in the chat, and I will hit it as we go here. So most MSPs tell me I know how to sell. I just need more leads. I know how to sell. I'm closing. In fact, a lot of times I'm closing 100% of my deals. I get that one all the time. That's not real, guys. Like, first of all, you have to understand that times have changed. You have to sell differently. And usually you're selling at a margin that's way too less than it should be. The average that comes into our sales calls, Cindy mentioned this earlier, $68 per seat per month is the average. Just take your MRR that you have, that you get consistently every month, divide it by how many seats you have. That's what your average is. I don't care how you're selling or what you're selling. That's what your average is. And most MSPs try and justify it with some weird stuff. What you're selling at is the number. What you're making is the number, and then what you're selling at is what you're actively selling new deals at. We actively recommend $300 per seat for a full all-in seat price solution on a 36-month agreement. And our guys are getting that all day long and then some. 300 is a baseline. That's where their starting point is. And we go up from there. I think what's the most we've ever seen, Cindy? Five and change, I think.
The most we've ever seen was $895.
$895. Holy crap.
Yeah, and that was in medical, and that was a very small practice. Today I was on a call, Chris, where a small law firm was paying $450 a seat.
Okay, so that's the kind of stuff we're looking at, guys. And most MSPs are like, oh, they're a small client, they can't afford it. In reality, it's a smaller nut for them. So most of them can afford $895 for a single PC, $500 a month for a single. Your risk doesn't change. Your management cost doesn't change. You should have what's called a get out of bed number. We call that the GOOB internally, a get out of bed number. That's the minimum client you work with. Not desperate for every deal. Make them work to be with you. And most of what our stuff is giving you self-confidence, because we give you that structure, that process, all of those things, and that self-confidence closes deals. So we give you a static, single time, single throat to choke sales process that works, and it's systematic and works constantly. And remember, everything I'm talking about here, using our system, our elite clients are doubling their MRR in 12 months or less. Here's a couple of great examples for you. Here's Mark Enzor. Mark is in Tucson, Arizona, here in the States. Mark started our program. Now, Mark was a little bit bigger of an MSP. I'm not going to debate that. 98K MRR, but came into the program and in the first 90 days added 50K plus. Has now added even more. I believe he's even higher than that number now. I haven't talked to Mark in a little bit here, but he was pushing 200K the last time I talked to him when he was with us in Phoenix. So that's one. Yeah, where's he? Do you know where he's at?
Yeah, he's added 110.
He's added 110?
Yeah, so he's gone from whatever he started at. Remember that.
I thought you meant 110 on top of that. I'm like, damn.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so he's another, pushing 200. Yeah, like I said.
Yeah,
so that's key.
yeah.
But here's another guy that's a little bit related to a lot of MSPs. I talked about Brett a little bit earlier. Brett is in Miramichi, New Brunswick, Canada. Started in our program in a 17,000 person little town in Miramichi, New Brunswick, Canada, upper Northeast in North America, at $22,000 of MRR in 600 seats. So let's do that number I talked about earlier. So Brett had $22,000 MRR divided by 600. This was his per seat number, guys.
$36
$36 Canadian was his per seat number. Now Brett is at 425 seats at 105K MRR. So he's reduced his seat count 100 plus seats, and he's at 105, averaging around $247 Canadian per seat. You want to talk about changing your life, changing everything you do. This is the kind of stuff that you have to do, and it's really, really important. Now, we didn't tell Brett to go fire people. Brett went and upgraded his entire client base and then chose to eliminate the squeaky wheels. So he could have a little bit more, but he's got a lot less tickets because he's eliminated some of that crap, which he's chosen to do. Cindy, anything you want to say on that one?
Yeah, it's really cool. Not only did he fire his whale, everybody out here knows what a whale is. It's that one client you can't walk away from. He fired his whale. He upgraded his staff. He's got time now to take a walk every day. I mean, he's changed his entire life by embracing the discipline.
Yep, absolutely. And he works out constantly. He just was with us at our Ottawa show. We hung out for 2 days, was with us in Indianapolis. His pledge to come to all 4 of our big live events this year. This is the kind of stuff that you want to do because you want to move yourself from being the guy in the trenches or the gal in the trenches to being the one that runs the company every day. That's what we want, isn't it? That's what I want. That's what we all want. So let me talk a little bit about our coaching program, 7-Figure MSP Inner Circle Elite. This is a full sales and marketing coaching program to get you to 7-figure deals and building that 7-figure habit, those 7-figure mindset. That's what's really key here, guys. So full sales and marketing coaching. You have the full double your MRR sales system. That's with me, Cindy Phillips. Cindy, there's that fancy new picture.
There you go.
Look at you. That's we took that in Phoenix. That comes with complete live sales onboarding. You get Chris Monday, Cindy Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, every single week. We also have on top of that Ryan O'Hara, our VP of Member Services, to work with you. We also have our weekly sales open office hours that is run with our sales team 3 times a week. So basically, you should never be working a sales deal alone from here out. Every deal you work with us. We partner with you. We work with you. You come on here and you work and you get as much assistance as we can give you. You also have on top of that our 7-figure MSP marketing machine with our head coach, Lindsay Badillo. Lindsay is a marketing machine and a marketing master. That's why we have the name. We also have Cindy and Lindsay both running their own private masterminds, both called Trailblazers, Business Mastery for Cindy, Leads Mastery for Lindsay, to help you get to that next level. Lindsay also has all of her marketing training and 3 open office hours for marketing every single week. So we teach you how to sell. The reason we do sales first, let's just back up a slide here. The reason we do sales first is we teach you how to sell the 7-figure MSP way. Then we bring you into getting your leads going. Takes a lot of time to get leads going, takes a system, takes employees, takes all this stuff. You want to have enough cash flow to get going on it so you don't just get in and quit. You got to get rolling and you got to build a machine that works. So that's the training arms that we have. We also have tons of proposal, presentation, and agreement templates. You get our full cybersecurity sales PowerPoint included. You get our full cybersecurity sales Word doc included. That's your proposal. So you got the presentation PowerPoint and the proposal Word doc included. You got our full, you heard me mention earlier, the risk acceptance letter and the statement on that is included. You also get our full master service agreement and statement of work templates included, along with our incident response plan template and discounted access to our ultimate MSP contract kit and legal advice call with our in-house general counsel, Paige Taylor. These are important things to help you roll. In fact, that call was about 3 hours ago at this point. It was at 2 p.m. Central. Every single Monday, they do that legal advice call. It's awesome. We also have tons of process structure and tools. Sorry for my allergies. You get our full 7-figure MSP risk assessment system. Along with that, you get our hiring machine, our full MSP CRM called WiseTrack, coaching with that, marketing campaigns, our lead generation system and clean lead system, along with a full written 52-week email nurture and MSP website, all included with the program. So Chris, what's the next step? And note, guys, I just touched kind of the surface on that. I'm not going to bore you with 45 minutes of presentation on that. But what's the next step? You guys saw all the stuff that we have included. This is, again, just, we haven't even talked about the community. We have 400 plus active elite members in our program, like guys that are actively working with us real time, all the time, on calls, in the community, in the Facebook group, in the school community, at the live events, all these different things. So we have over $18,000 of value. Again, that's just touching the iceberg on this. My special offer for you guys today, you have to book your call coming out of this webinar. And this is really key. Cindy's going to throw you a link in the chat. $2K per month is our retail. We have a fast action bonus for you being with us today. You have to do this in the next 15 minutes here to book this call and get that rate. I take $250 off if you book your call right now for $17.50 per month. That's our discount. So it is a 12-month commit, but it's $17.50 a month. And I have a couple guarantees. First of all, here is your URL that you can book on that. Cindy, if you want to throw that in the chat for me. Sorry about my coughing really quick there. You guys can hit that QR code if you want to. I'm just going to wait 1 second for Cindy to throw that in the chat. There we go. I'll throw that on the screen for you guys as well. I got a couple of guarantees for you, but I don't know if this program will work. I'm nervous to commit. I think it's a scam. Is there a guarantee? So here's a couple of guarantees that I have for you guys. Number one. Now, what I will tell you is you're not going to come into this program, take all my stuff and leave. It's just not going to happen. Sorry. But I do have a 90-day fully money back guarantee. You have to participate in the work. You have to go on the calls. And if you do all that stuff and you think you'll see the ROI, it's not worth it. Don't work in my market. I'll give you your money back in full. Side note, I've never had this requested. I'm not going to sit here and say that our program has been 100% successful because it's not. But the guys that are seeing that also don't show up. They don't do the work. And they realize that and they don't request the refund. So there's definitely been some people that have not succeeded, but a majority do, right? You do the work, Cindy, you succeed, right? It's that simple.
I mean,
right?
The thing is, people sign up for stuff sometimes and they don't follow through. You follow through, and believe me, we will hound you.
I had to get a damn trainer just so I would go to the gym every day. That's it. And now I see change. And I'm kind of there. It took me over a year, but I'm kind of there, right? So much that I believe in this program, I added a second guarantee. If you do the work, show up for the first 90 days, and you don't make at least your initial investment in additional MRR, I will write you a check for that amount. So if you come in, book your call right now. Don't make $1,750 in your currency in the first 90 days. I'll write you a check for $1,750. It's that simple. You really can't beat that. So here's where you can go. Book your call. I got it up on the screen as well. You get your bonuses. Everybody that books a call gets a $50 gift card. I want you to be mindful of that. You book a call, you get that. And pretty cool from Christian here. He just said quite an offer. Thank you. You're welcome, Christian. Would love to have you guys as part of the program. As I had promised earlier, we had our CSRA guide. Here's where you can get your link for that. Cindy, if you want to throw that in the chat for me, that'd be great. You guys can also hit that with the QR code. So that's our CSRA blueprint that I promised earlier. And you are a typing machine. Muy impresante. I'll let her finish that. There we go. 7figuremsp.link/CSRA blueprint. And we are going to move on to our prizes. So here's what we do, guys. Here's how this works. I'm going to set a timer for 3 minutes. Actually, I got 2 minutes since I'm almost a little bit over time. I set a timer for 2 minutes going right now. What is one thing that you can take and use from today's webinar? We're going to pick one of those winners. One of those answers is going to win a $250 gift card. Second one is going to win a $100 gift card. Now, you have to be from a reputable MSP. Here's my timer. Clicking away.
Hey, Christian says he's glad to see me back. Cool.
I'm glad to see you. I love it. Cindy's been busy.
Yeah, man, I've been working, man. You should see the cool stuff I built a couple of days I wasn't here. It was all awesome, right?
Okay, so Christian said, first of all, Cindy, you've been missed. My biggest takeaway throughout the session is that the role of the MSP is changing, and I'm now responsible for about so much more than being a tech. I will always remove a liability because if I don't, I will own it all. Great. I love that. Here's from Miriam. I've taken a lot, but what I will do is create need with emotion. I love that. Here's from Miles. Here's from Harold. We got a minute left, guys. Aiden.
Yeah, so Aiden, one of the things I did was I updated some of our materials to apply the wedge to our niche. So that was pretty smoking. We did that on May 29th.
Yeah, great stuff. Great stuff. Yeah, we do that inside of our elite coaching calls we do weekly. Let's see what else we got here, guys. Bacon. Said go out and do a CSRA. Here's from Gene. There you go, Gene. I love it, buddy. I love it that you're fearless. We would love to have you in the program, Gene. You would definitely benefit from being in our program. I will tell you that right now. In fact, okay, timer is up. She clicking and banging away here. Oh, Aiden said this. Great. Yeah, he was cool, wasn't he, man? He's going to be back in Q4 to do a special. Cindy, you don't even know this yet. Randy will be back in Q4 to do a pre-day on Monday workshop. That's going to be a paid full 8-hour workshop to build your own. Yep, that's cool. Okay, some other good stuff here. Side note, guys, some of these are very long, which sometimes make me think that they come from ChatGPT, et cetera, et cetera. We've had some bot problems in the past. Not saying that, I just can't tell. But what I will tell you is in order to win, you have to give us a real MSP email address. Just be mindful of that. Okay, Cindy, $100 gift card winner. Who you got?
$100 gift card winner goes to Aiden.
All right, Aiden. Awesome, buddy. Here's what I need from you, Aiden, for your $100 gift card. Shoot a message in the webinar chat with your email address from your MSP. That's in the webinar chat. Next one, we have our $250 winner. Cindy, what you got? Any thoughts from you on that one?
I'm picking bacon, man. James Kim.
All right, James Kim, you have won a $250 tremendous.com gift card. Do me a favor, bacon. Put your business MSP email in the chat, and we will get that out to you. Aiden, please get me your email address in the chat.
Sweet. Good stuff.
I love it. All right, guys, while we're waiting for them to put their stuff in there, so James Kim, please put your email address in the chat. Aiden, please put your email address in the chat. If you don't do that before we end the webinar, you're not going to get anything.
Ooh, that's so true.
Zaddy's yelling.
Okay, Aiden says he's already.
Aiden, we're not seeing it, buddy. So I don't know where it's coming. It must not be showing up. So put it somewhere. Blah blah blah. Okay, James Kim won our $250 gift card. Anybody else, if you want your $50 gift card, you do have to book a call. Here's how you get that. I'm going to do that really quick here with the URL. That's how you do it right here. That's where you book a call. You get a $50 gift card, etc. The rest of you guys have won your prizes. Yeah, Aiden, that's fine. That is no problem at all. And then James Kim has his in there. I will note that, and we'll see you guys later. I think we're good. Cindy, any parting words?
Have fun, guys. Get your get out of bed number. Cost times 5.
Book your calls. We'd love to see you guys. Come join me in onboarding. Aiden, I think it's time for you to upgrade, my friend. Let's go, buddy. And we'll see the rest of you guys soon. Have a great day and stay out of trouble. Let's go make some money. My name's Chris Weiser for Cindy Phillips. We'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.